YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my review for BoonBoomger episode 8. So this was a really good episode, definitely feeling like a part 1, but also kind of like a culmination episode, as we've obviously been building the team and the series up, and now we're getting some more answers about why the team was built, about Taiya, and I think we're kind of doing this two-parter to sort of set the status quo fully. I think we're going to learn, like, obviously more about why he set it up, more about their motivations going forward, and almost feels like after this we might be going into like the next arc, kind of Rider-esque in a way. So at the beginning of the episode, you have them kind of practice racing with this new car, and it's a prototype and it's not working out, which plays in later when he winds up risking it by using it, setting up a new toy, obviously, and stuff like that. But after this training exercise is when we find out a little bit more about why the BoonBoomgers were made. As we know, it's been kind of inferred that they weren't specifically made to fight evil like most Sentai powers, and that him and Boombot have made this collaboration together. And we find out that they're actually preparing for this big, like Boom Boom Grand Prix or something like that. It's like the BBG or something. It's just, hopefully it's not BBC. I'm talking about the British Broadcasting Company, you perverts! But they're basically preparing for this big intergalactic race, and that was like the main reason, and discovering the hash aliens and fighting them is just kind of like, oh hey, we gotta do this too. And it leads to the team having these mixed reactions about it, which I guess kind of makes sense. Like, Black is kind of like, oh, but justice! I'm like, shut up. Like, I don't know, he just still annoys me a little bit. It's kind of in that same territory as Kaguragi. And I think Pink had the biggest reaction of like, well, how could you be like this? Which, I don't know, I've mixed thoughts on it. I feel like it makes sense, but it feels like she's also so flighty and seems so frivolous about everything that it seems weird to see her be so judgy. It also seems weird to see any of them be so questioning, except for Blue, who clearly understands the situation more, because they obviously have seen that Taiya and all of them have been helping people. I feel like if he truly didn't care about that, then he would be like, no, we gotta let the civilians suffer, we gotta train for the race, it's about family and speed, live life a quarter mile at a time, all that stuff. So, I don't know. I understand it, but it feels a little like melodramatically forced. But then they wind up getting interrupted by basically a trap where Mad Rex lures them all into a trap to trap everybody except Taiya. And the other two Team Rocket villains get trapped there too, which is funny because I didn't notice that until, I don't know why, when I was doing the clip breakdown last week, I didn't notice that until I was going over the pictures, editing it, not when I was watching it. And then I was wondering, like, why are they in there? Is it like kind of a, I'm gonna teach you a lesson type of thing? I thought either they messed up and he's teaching them a lesson, or he's kind of like putting them in there to show them, like, this is how a real villain beats up a red or something like that. That sounds sexual. Anyway, it was an accident. They lured them in, but trapped themselves in there by mistake when they lured him, which was funny. But basically, they do this exhibition match with him, exhibition match between him and Red's all serious and badass, and it is funny that, like, the tension is cut, like, this badass moment, and it's like, and then the tension is cut yet again when he tries to do a cooler version of saying his roll call, but I'm sorry, saying your name out loud like that is not cool in any tone. It's just weird. He's like, Mad Dog's like, man, I thought you were gonna be cool and you said your name again. Why? It's so weird. Stop doing that. But anyway, they fight, and they kind of show this similarity in their rivalry in the sense that they're both, like, passionate about finding a challenge and stuff like that, and he encourages to go out with him to, I think it's a romance, to be honest. No, he encourages him to join him in the galaxy to sort of find their limits and test their limits together, and that brings up more of the Rangers questioning them. And that's kind of the whole point of the episode, and you get into the mecha battle, and I was worried last week, I'm like, I wonder if they're gonna somehow actually kill this guy off, because there is a mecha battle, and sometimes you don't always make it out of a mecha battle. He does that thing where, you know, he obviously makes it off, and the Red Ranger risks it by just using the new untested prototype, and then he collapses at the very end, and it looks like next week we're gonna be in for a situation where he's gonna be off the table for at least a battle or two, because we see, like, footage of the four of them just fighting together. But I really did like this episode. I think I really have been enjoying the rivalry with Taiya's rivalry with Mad Rex, because it's kind of one of those classic feeling Sentai rivalries, and it kind of ties into both their motivations. I'm glad we know more about the reason the BoonBoomgers are together. I think that's actually kind of interesting. The whole race idea, I think, could bring in some really interesting angles. Like, if it's a long-running story and one of the finale, like, episodes or resolutions has to be this race, we could possibly get, like, other racers. It would actually be really interesting to get other racers slash enemies that weren't from the hash aliens. I think that would be cool. And I just think the idea in general of the ranger system existing for a different reason outside of heroics is actually kind of cool and innovative, especially with the way they look. Again, I understand the plot reason they're going for them questioning Taiya, but it also seemed a bit over the top because it's not as if he's been behaving callously. Like, if they had a long-running bit of him being really callous about human life and stuff like that, I can understand them being like, oh, it all makes sense now, and there's an arc about Red needing to learn that they can, you know, do justice or whatever. But I don't know. Regardless, I'm glad we're getting more answers, and it looks like next week we're going to see how him and Boom Boom met. I'm definitely interested to find out more about his species. I do feel we're getting a lot of the questions answered now, though, so I'm going to need some more questions to keep me intrigued, but I'm really enjoying the show, and just the intensity of this episode, like, there was some funny stuff in it, obviously, but it was a very sort of serious episode that I wouldn't have expected to be so invested in so early on, based on how I perceived the series at the beginning, which I thought was going to be all silly all the time. But a little bit of a shorter review, because even though some major stuff happened, it definitely is a part 1 of 2, and I think there's going to be more to dive into next week. But what did you guys think of the episode and the revelations about why the BoonBoomgers were made? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.